Hello again, Gills fans, and welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It's Monday, which means it's Monday review time, and I'm going to be looking back at Saturday's goalless draw with Steve Cotterill / Aaron Wilbraham, Shrewsbury Town. The game, the result that probably ended Gills' hopes of gatecrashing the top six this season. Only 5 to play, and with plenty of teams having loads of games in hand around us still. The task is pretty much impossible now. I think that's probably the word. We've got to go to Oxford and Peterborough in our next two, and we probably need 4 points from them two, which is going to be a really tall order. Saturday itself was an intriguing and an engaging watch, without ever really taking off. I thought the Gills started off really brightly. First 15 minutes, we penned Shrewsbury back. We got balls into a dangerous area. We threatened to get in behind a couple of times, but we didn't really test their keeper, Sarkic, who had a pretty comfortable opening period. And after weathering the early storm, to be fair to Salop, they got themselves on the front foot. We started allowing them a bit more space. Stuart O'Keefe was booked after 20 minutes, which meant he couldn't make a tackle. So they was allowed to pass through us a bit easier. There was more onus on Cole Dempsey in the middle of the park to drop in and help out. And that obviously influenced the way that he played the game. It meant that he couldn't bomb on as much because he knew he had to cover O'Keefe, who was running a tightrope with Trevor Kettle in charge. But Trevor Kettle, in fairness, was decent all afternoon for me. We talk about him a lot on social media, but I thought he had a decent enough game. And yeah, middle third definitely belonged to the away side. They should score through Donald Love. It's got a really good chance, and we think it was Robbie Cundy who got a toe end on it to block the shot that may have been going in, but really Love should hit the target and should put the side, his side 1-0 in front. Then at the other end, Gills responded as well, and it became pretty much like a five-a-side game for a few minutes. It was one team having a go and then another team having a go. But Gills ended the half strongly, and we were the width of a post away from taking the lead a couple of minutes before the half-time whistle. Ball was played into the box and it broke for Connor Ogilvie. Little toe poke with his right foot towards goal, hit the inside of the post, come out, hit the defender and rolled out the other way for a corner, unfortunately, which we didn't make the most of. 0-0 at the break was probably about fair. They had one big chance and missed it. We had one big chance and missed it. And I think I said on the Match Day Live that we needed to maybe make a couple of changes and freshen things up. We just looked a little bit one-dimensional. We wasn't getting our key players into the game in the right areas. And we made 2 changes at the break. We took off John Akindi, and we took off Stuart O'Keefe, and we brought on Robbie McKenzie and Dominic Samuel, who's still working himself back to fitness. And I thought Dominic Samuel was very bright early stages of the second period. He was dropping into decent areas, getting the ball on the half turn and getting balls out wide. And it was quite clear for me that because they were playing 3 centre-backs, Shrewsbury, we was trying to get it out wide a lot quicker and attack down the flanks and then get balls in from the byline rather than going earlier from a deeper area. Defensively, I thought we was all right. Jack Bonham's made a couple of saves you'd expect him to make. We've had 2 big chances, and we've not taken either of them, unfortunately. The first one for me was when Dominic Samuel done really well to pinch possession, and then he played a poor ball to Verdane Oliver when we had an overload. If he played it with a bit more pace, Verdane would have had it out of his feet and been driving into the penalty area, but unfortunately he had to stop. And then he tried to chip the keeper, I think, and it went out for a goal kick and never really put the goalpost under any type of danger. Excuse me. The second one, an even bigger chance, long ball from us down the middle. Dominic Samuel again done really well, got his body between the ball and the centre half, controlled it on his chest off of Verdane Oliver, whose snapshot from the edge of the box went a foot or 2 wide. You'd expect Verdane in the form he's in to hit the target, but unfortunately he didn't. We huffed and we puffed, and so did they for the remaining period of the game. And I think the draw was a fair result, wasn't it? It was one of them games, and I've said it a couple of times on social media. I think games are just starting to catch up with us, unfortunately. We've worked so hard since January to get ourselves in a position where we've gone from 15th to the playoffs, albeit playing more games than plenty of the teams around us. And it just looks like having a small squad is now catching up with us a little bit. And we're just running out of steam. Wigan, we got away with it. They missed big chances. We scored ours, despite looking a little bit leggy. Blackpool played us off the park, in all honesty. They were much better than us on the day, especially from 2-1 onwards. We had that period at 1-1, didn't we, where we looked like we might nick a second goal. But as soon as Jerry Yates put the home side back in front at 2-1, there was only ever going to be one winner. And Saturday, again, we just looked a little bit leggy. Jordan Graham couldn't get into the game as much as he'd like. Kyle Dempsey didn't influence as much as he'd like. He kept trying to grab the game by the scruff of the proverbial neck, but it just wasn't happening. Verdane Oliver, pretty quiet, again, by his recent standards. And I suppose you have to class this as a goal drought now, 2 full games without scoring for Verdane. Such was the form he was in throughout March. It's not over yet, we know that, but it was always a possibility rather than a probability for me. I've said that saying over and over and over and over again over the last few weeks, and it's a very tall order now. You'd imagine we've got to win 4 of our last 5 and probably draw the last one as well, which is going to be tough when we've got to go to Burton still, we've got to go Oxford, we've got to go Peterborough, still got to host Northampton, who are fighting for their lives, and Plymouth's probably the only team that have not really got anything to play for at the moment. So it's going to be really tricky between now and the end of the season. And if we do manage to do it, then fair play to everyone involved. It'll be a monumental effort. And right, that's pretty much it for today. No goals to talk about, and only 1 point. Certainly not a negative performance. I just think it's an accumulation of a couple of things that are contributing to us just looking a little bit flat over the last couple of games. But it doesn't detract from a really good second half of the season. Another progressive campaign on the whole for Steve Evans' side, and something that we can look forward to next term if we can get back in stadiums, if we can keep, you know, the crux of this squad together. We know that it's likely that a couple might move on, such as their form has been this season, but if we can keep the majority together, it gives us a basis and a platform to build on. But yeah, frustrating draw. It'd be nice to take the playoff dream into another weekend, but it looks like that's not going to happen. Talking of another weekend, next Saturday's game against Oxford United has been moved to 5:30 in the evening so that it doesn't clash with the funeral of His Royal Highness, the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip. So a later kick-off for the Gills at the Kassam Stadium. I'll be back on the 3rd tier on 8 PM tonight with Tom, and we've got 2 special guests tonight, 2 journalists. I think one's a Charlton fan, so it'd be great to talk to them and look back over the weekend action again. And yeah, you can notice that I'm wearing the Game Changer FanHub shirt again. I know plenty of you are trying to get your hands on them by winning and rising to the top of the leaderboards by picking your teams after before every game. If you've been unlucky enough to not win one yet, don't despair. I do have codes coming imminently, which means you'll be able to purchase these at a really good discounted rate. They normally retail at $49.99. The discount code will allow 3 fans to be able to purchase them at $34.99. So if you're interested, drop me a DM and I'll see if I can get the code in advance. If not, keep an eye on social media and it will be published in the next 24 hours or so. I'll be back Thursday on the channel to look ahead to the Oxford game. Fingers crossed we'll get an Oxford fan on to give their perspective as well. Today is Monday. Shops are reopening, pubs are reopening, restaurants are reopening, gyms, hairdressers. If you've managed to have a nice skin fade, or if you're a female and you've had it chopped, then lucky you. If you've managed to get a table booked at a pub or a restaurant and have braved the cold to have a nice pint or something to eat, then fair play. Enjoy, and I'll be back later in the week. But until next time, up the Gills.